Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Welcome. My name is Jedley, and this is Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out from Reedville, the gem of Southwest Boston, and we are so thrilled that you're joining us. At Reading with Our Kids, our mission is simple but powerful, to bring families together through the shared magic of books and stories. Every episode, we sit down with fascinating folks who are creating books that open hearts and spark imaginations. You want to help us grow with this mission? Then tell all of your friends, all of your family, all of your kids' teachers, even the crossing guard, and remind them that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, CastBox, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Two wonderful guests today. Hannah van Campen is joining us first. She is here to celebrate her debut picture book. It's called Believe. Later in the show, our old friend Fahad Siddiqui is joining us from Brazil to celebrate Mission Upcycle as part of his YoungTreesEducation.com program. Hey, my friends, really excited to let you know we have a brand new sponsor here at Reading with Your Kids. It's CozyEarth.com. CozyEarth.com. Cozy Earth luxurious bamboo bedding and pajamas, loved by Oprah Winfrey, Kris Jenner, and thousands of customers, offer the ultimate in softness and cooling comfort. Enjoy an exclusive discount with my program code READ at CozyEarth.com. Now, I want you to picture yourself cuddled up with your kids on some Cozy Earth bamboo sheets and just feel how cool and comfortable and soft they are. These sheets are crafted from viscose made from bamboo, and it makes it ultra soft and ultra comfortable. The bamboo fabric naturally wicks away moisture for cooler, drier sleep. And boy, I could use that right now here in Boston. We are melting. Cozy Earth has received thousands of 5-star reviews for their amazing products and customer service. You know, they're going to be offering you free shipping on every order over $50. And check this out. If you use my promo code READ, you're going to receive 41% off any product. That's an exclusive discount that you're only going to get by using my promo code READ. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use my promo code READ and receive 41% off the absolutely most comfortable, cool, and really soft bedding that you'll experience and find anywhere. CozyEarth.com. Use the promo code READ for 41% off. Hey there, families! Are you looking for an exciting way to bond and learn together? Look no further than our STEM is Family Fun video series. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of STEM through hands-on activities right in your own home. Our series features lessons from experts at renowned institutions like the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum, the National Children's Museum in Washington, D.C., and Children's Museum Houston. From making homemade rainbow bridges to creating an oboe out of a straw, there's something for everyone in the family to enjoy. So grab your lab coats and get ready for an adventure. Go to readingwithyourkids.com and click on the STEM is Family Fun link at the top of the page and let the learning and laughter begin. STEM is Family Fun, where learning and bonding go hand in hand. Join us right now from the beautiful state of New Jersey. Our guest is on Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Believe. Please welcome to the show, Hannah van Campen. Hey, Hannah, how are you?
Hi, Jed. I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Wonderful. It is finally, you're probably experiencing the same thing. Boy, I've been melting the last couple of weeks. It rained today, and the weather is kind of cool and chill, and it's nice.
Yes, it feels good. You actually want to go outside.
And yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So talk up to us about Believe, please. What's this book all about?
Yes. Well, again, thank you so much for having me. And so Believe is a children's book, and it's a little bit more of a niche book, but it talks about grief. So Believe is inspired by a true story, by personal loss, and it's all about being able to go on this journey together, specifically for children, and be able to go through, loss is really hard, and coping with loss is really hard, and having conversations as parents with children that are going through losing someone is a really tough thing. So the book was inspired by, as I said, personal loss. I lost my father 12 years ago, and I knew I wanted to do something that, could give back. So the story is a journey about, a child becoming great friends with a caterpillar, and that caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And through that journey, understanding that, even though the caterpillar takes on a different form, they're still there, and there's still a lot of love. The book also is meant as a keepsake. So there are journaling pages at the end where I encourage all of the readers to write their favorite stories and memories so they can go back and revisit. And hopefully it puts a smile on their face. I know myself, for my own journaling, I'll go back and I'll remember and say, oh, I forgot that story. So I always say, it's nice, and it gives children a sense of, I think, helping with the coping a little bit. And even though someone's no longer here, they're here in spirit and just in a different form.
Yeah. That's such an important concept for us to teach our kids, I think. And I'm happy that we seem to be doing it. We certainly have celebrated a number of books that talk about grief here on Reading with Your Kids. But it wasn't that long ago when my dad passed when my son was 6 months old, and then my grandmother passed 6 months later, and my son attended both services, and later when my daughter came into our lives, somebody else had passed, and we would take them to the services and talk to them about it, and it wasn't always accepted. There are a lot of people look sideways at us when we're at a funeral or a wake with our kids, and I'm like, this is part of life. You can't do to my kids what people did to me, which was we don't talk about this until you're like 15 or 16, and we only do it then because like somebody just died.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, and kids are resilient, right? And they're extremely smart. As we were talking about before, I have a 3-year-old, and he understands because I talk to him about things, and I think that this book allows the uncomfortability to happen, but in a really beautiful way. And it sort of takes you on that journey. And it also was inspired by my sister, who had to explain to her children about my dad. And I watched her explain how, he's in the stars now. And I was like, all right, like, how can we create this where it's easy? It becomes this keepsake. It allows people to, use the book as a jumping off point, right? And create that, just that openness, because there's not a lot of that. As you said, you do get the sideways looks when you go to the funeral with children, or if you're more open, people might say, well, why are you talking? They're too young to understand that. And I think children are much, much smarter than you expect and you think, and it helps them understand in an empathetic way as well, right? How you deal with certain things.
Right. Yeah. It was so silly that we didn't talk about grief to the point where if a pet died, it didn't die. It went to a farm. And I'm thinking,
this farm must be packed.
Yeah, it's as big as California.
It's true. And I see it's such a funny, I saw someone the other day and I was listening to them explain very similar story about a pet passing away, and the pet just disappeared. And I'm like, well, they obviously understand the pet's not here anymore. So
Right. Yeah.
So what is the story? You have to come up with something a little bit better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very common because it's so uncomfortable. And that's why I wanted to create the book. And I did it. My illustrator is my god sister, and she's been through her own, journey as well with losing people. And we wanted to just come together and create this picture book that just felt really nice and kind, but also allowed people to use it as a tool. Because there's a fantastic organization called Imagine, and it focuses on helping children and youth get through grief. And they use this tool called an elephant, because grief is like an elephant, right? It's as heavy as an elephant, and it's always in the room, right? No, people are tiptoeing around it at all times. And so I think that being able to have this tool, this book, to go through and realize how beautiful it actually can be, even when it's, you're down in the dumps, it definitely has helped. And I've seen it in real life, so it's nice.
And, you just used a word that might throw somebody. You said grief can be beautiful, and it really can be if we sit and we allow ourselves to share our sorrows and our grief and our loss with our kids. I think it's empowering to them. We talk about how empowering it is when we ask our kids what they think of the book that you're reading, and you're the most important person in the world wants to know what you think. That's great, but how much more empowering can it be when I'm looking at the most important person in the world, and I can help them. I can help comfort them.
Yeah,
I'm hurting too, but we can comfort each other. I think that's incredibly powerful.
Yes, exactly. And I think even as you just said that, like, I felt the moment of being able to even help a child, right? I think when you start this process earlier with children and you're more open about it, it allows them to become that resilience, right? It allows them to be more open, because they don't know a 3-year-old is just learning how to regulate their emotions, right? So they don't know how to process it, but they're curious. They're trying to understand why. So if you give them that opportunity, I think you'll actually see that they will create a lot of good from it, rather than if you don't talk about it, then it's just, like I said before, the elephant in the room, eggshells, tiptoeing around it. They don't understand. And really, like you said, you can go through the process together, which can also be very beautiful and help each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And comforting.
You told us that the inspiration for this particular book was a loss that you experienced. What was the inspiration for you to become a children's author? Was this something you always wanted to do?
It's not something that I always wanted to do, but I love children. I've always wanted to be a mom. That was, I knew, going to be part of my journey. And I've always felt a connection with children. So being able to help them in this sense, I think adults have therapists and they can make these choices for themselves. And you do see along the way, it's hard to talk to children about these things because you just don't know where to start. And as I started writing Believe, I had it in the notes on my phone, and I would, jot it down. I'd come back to it, and it took me almost 5 years to write it, and then to feel comfortable even putting it out there, because I'm not a children's book author, and now I am, and it's really exciting to say that. But I think at the time I was going down a different path, and it had to feel really good for me to put it out there. But no, it's been a fantastic journey. I love being able to kind of get down to their level, and create something that they will understand through a process of, caterpillar becoming a butterfly, right? Like, that's pretty easy to understand. And they learn about that early on in life as well. So it's been a really fun journey. And I used to read the book to my friends, and they would all start tearing, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're on the right path. And kids, when they read it, if they haven't processed grief, they'll say, well, what happened? Where did the butterfly go? And you'd have to explain, well, the butterfly is now having his own adventure. Right. And the impetus, actually, I don't know if you've ever heard the water bug story.
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's a beautiful, if you look it up, it's a beautiful story, but it's essentially the same thing where, the water bug goes above the water and now he's a dragonfly or, and can't get back down to those that he loves. So the whole story is just saying, like, again, you change and life changes, but, you're still there watching over. So that's how the butterfly kind of came to life.
Right. Obviously, this believe would be a great book for a family that maybe has an elderly relative that's in hospice, and we're going to have to say goodbye soon.
Yeah.
Let's get this book so we can talk about it. But the reality is, kids are going to experience loss in many different ways. It might be a pet. It might be a best friend who's hopefully does. My kids lost 2 friends to cancer when they were kids. But you can just, without the tragedy, families move. Mm-hmm. And so your kid's going to have to say goodbye to their best friend, and maybe they'll keep in touch, but probably not. So your kids are going to experience loss on many different levels. They're going to experience grief, and what a great way to be able to deal with it if you've already sat down and had these conversations around this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it gives them the confidence to experience it, right? It allows them to in their mind paint the picture of, okay, like I understand this doesn't have to be, it's a catastrophic event, right? Everything you just described, a best friend even moving away, that's a lot on a child. Losing friends to something like cancer, right? You see the horribleness that comes with that and how it affects everyone. And grief comes in many forms. It could be very tragic. It could be a long road. It could be, anything under the sun. So I think, using the book in order to paint a bit of a picture, and create that comfortability gives them the confidence to get through it, because they understand, like, even though the person has left or you're losing someone, they're still around. Like, you still have those stories. You can still, feel inspired by, the time you spent with them, rather than look at it as, oh my goodness, like, what do I do now? Right? Like, let's use this as a keepsake. Let's remember those fun moments. Let's think about the things that, matter. I know even I'm 35, right? And I still, look back in my book and I'm saying, these are the fun moments with my father that I loved. But the scariest thing is, you don't want to not remember them. Right. And so I think that's a way to encourage them. Like, what was that fun moment? Oh, you loved how grandpa took you to go get ice cream. Why don't you write that down? Or I'll write it down for you. And then they can go back and say, oh, see, like, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. And it's really beautiful to see when people are reading it back and, like, the light in their eyes. They're like, oh, there we go. So it's a beautiful way to remember, those that you love as well.
Wonderful. You said something earlier about always wanting to be a mom and really loving being a mom. I'm so happy that you said that. I've heard recently that a very famous person who has her own podcast right now, so I'm not going to mention because I might misquote or might get the quote incorrect, but basically was saying, when you have kids, your life is over. It's just, and yeah, it's hard and it takes a lot of work. And so you're not going to go out with the boys or the girls as much as you do. But man, being a parent is pretty awesome.
Yes.
My life didn't end when my kids came into my life. My life began. So I'm so happy that you shared that. I really wish more people would just come out and say it. Yes, it's hard being a parent, but it's awesome. And it's and I hope that more and more young people aspire to do it.
Mm-hmm. It is hard. There are hard days where you're like, oh, Lord, what was I thinking? But no, I agree with you. It is the best thing in the entire world. And I have 2 boys. So, I'm outnumbered now, but I get to dance at every wedding and I get to have my mom, on a pedestal moment. But it's just, they're so genuine. And I think that's why, the book really matters too, because you want to hone in. Everything that they say right now is honest. Everything that they create in their minds, they're starting to be imaginative. So when you have those opportunities, like, jump on them. My son, he now has his big boy bed. So, things have changed a little bit in terms of, having, the bed to ourselves now. Cause at 5 a.m. I hear his like elephant feet. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because it's at some point I'm going to be 80 years old and I'm going to wish for those moments. And they truly do make you a better person. Just make life more exciting.
Amen. So you shared with us that it took you 5 years to write Believe. You have to wait another 5 years before you come back on Reading with Your Kids?
I hope not. I'm in the process of thinking about the next one. So we'll see. But yeah, hopefully sooner than 5 years. That's my goal.
Well, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Believe and find out more about you.
Yes. So, Believe is on Amazon. So please take a look. And then, find out more about me. You can find me on TikTok, Coach HVC. I'm a postpartum coach, on the side as well. And you can also find me online. So please, if you have any feedback, let me know. And I'd love to hear your stories about how Believe has helped you and your families. It really means a lot. So
wonderful. We've had a great time speaking to the author of Believe. It's a debut picture book from our guest, Hannah van Campen. Hannah, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much, Jed.
My friends, if you have ever thought about owning a business that's fun, rewarding, and makes a valuable contribution to kids' education, well, Brooklyn Robot Foundry is calling your name. I recently met Jenny Young. She's the founder of Brooklyn Robot Foundry. And let me tell you, she is incredible. Her passion for getting kids excited about STEAM, that's STEM plus art, it's contagious. I'm telling you. This isn't your average kids program. Brooklyn Robot Foundry is all about hands-on, screen-free STEAM fun. These kids get to build a different robot each class and take it home with them afterwards. Kids love it. Parents are raving about it. And now you can own a franchise and bring this incredible experience to families in your community. Now, this isn't your typical franchise. Brooklyn Robot Foundry is a mobile, flexible business with a deep curriculum that's making a real impact in schools and communities around the country. Franchise owners get a proven curriculum, full training, and support from a passionate team. So what are you waiting for? Please visit bit.ly/RobotJed. That's bit.ly/RobotJed. And let them know you heard about it on Reading with Your Kids.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
855-325-1823. 855-325-1823. That's 855-325-1823.
Hey, my friends, would you like to bring a little warmth and magic into your home? Let me introduce you to Welsh Mountain Candles, hand-poured on a working Amish farm in Lancaster County. These all-natural, toxin-free candles are made from palm wax with a stunning crystallized glow, rich coconut apricot wax for a creamy finish, and essential oils for a pure, refreshing scent. Whether you're winding down, setting the mood, or just love a great candle, Welsh Mountain Candles are crafted with care and made to be shared. Visit WelshMountainCandles.com. Use the promo code JED10 for 10% off your order today. Light up your home with Welsh Mountain Candles, where every candle tells a story. I have one happy and probably exhausted guest I'm going to introduce you to right now. He is the driving force behind YoungTreesEducation.com, and he is a brand new dad. Please welcome to the show, Fahad Siddiqui. My friend, how are you?
I'm good. Very nice to see you again, Jed. I'm very tired, as you rightly stated early on. Last night was not a fun night for the baby. So yeah, sleep deprivation has become a new reality for me.
Oh, it's a reality for the rest of your life, my friend.
It's not what I want to hear today, but I accept it.
It's it is a wonderful time, and I think most people listening to the show are parents themselves and have experienced the sleepless nights and the stress and the anxiety, but also with all those comes such great joy. And a lot of that joy happens when we sit down and when we read with our kids. And you're creating all sorts of resources, not only for parents, but also for teachers. Why don't we just start with that? You told me that you have a lot of teachers that are excited about those resources that you're creating for them. So let's hop in there.
Sure. Yeah, so as you know, last time we spoke, we were talking about the book series, which we're advancing on, which we'll touch on later on in the conversation, I'm sure. But as a result of putting those books out into the world and not being from the education industry myself, I got to see that there's only select types of groups or individuals that would be able or interested or willing or have the time to incorporate those new learning materials. And I was a bit disheartened with that idea that only kind of the privileged were getting access to this information, which is not to say they don't deserve the information. It's just that I would like it to be a bit more universally accessible. And it came to light that a lot of state and public education entities and single parents weren't really able to be even aware of these additional resources being out there, just because of the nature of their life or economics or whatever. So that led me to try to create something that would be accessible and more user-friendly for all types of schools, especially, but also parents, but mostly schools, where we can try to incorporate skill building to all students, and those skills hopefully will be transferable in their future. And it's not just based on this memorization philosophy that most school systems operate under. So we created these generators, these lesson plan generators, using AI, which we've been training for the last 8 months now, on different pedagogies and safeguarding methodologies, to try and incorporate the 4 C's of learning inside any topic and subject for age group. So those 4 C's you may be familiar with are critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. And we truly think that if those skills are shown to students and they're developed, they're going to be better served in whatever future they have, and whatever technological advances occur, they'll be able to use those 4 skill sets, hopefully in the future. And because we're offline first educational resource company where we promote learning stuff offline, we don't necessarily try to promote children learning behind the screen. There's enough people that do that. Children have access to screens all the time anyway, so we're not worried about them understanding how to operate the screens. We're more concerned about them developing these human skills that we think are important and useful no matter what comes in the future. Mm-hmm. And so those lesson plans is what we've been trying out with. We've got about 10 pilot programs across 10 different countries right now, just through conversations with people I'm meeting online, LinkedIn, teachers, schools, head teachers. And what's fascinating to me is that universally everyone is kind of disenfranchised with how things are done in schools. The fact that you put these young people inside square white walls, and they just have to sit and passively take in information. Everyone knows that it's not the optimal way for people to learn. And there's very few schools which have outdoor learning or play-led learning happening, which is great. But most people are stuck within the legacy institutional structures where they've got to follow a curriculum and they've got the exams at the end of the year, and maybe some of them are integrating skill-based learning, but it's a kind of Frankenstein model right now, but it's not very clear. And ultimately, the kids are, living the same kind of lives that we lived when we went to school, where they're not that enthused by going to class. It's not that fun. There may be one or two classes or teachers which they're interested in attending. And that's all because they make the effort, or they had the time or interest to make an effort to make the class fun or interesting in some way, shape or form. Whatever subject it is, it could be something fun like music and art, or it could have been a physics teacher that just made things cool. So this lesson plan generator essentially makes teachers create fun lessons no matter what the subject or topic they're teaching, because of the incorporation of one or two of these C's. So all of a sudden, a maths class about trigonometry becomes a debate situation where it's divided into two groups and they're talking, and instead of it being 80% of the teacher talking, it's more flipped, so that there's 80% of the children themselves engaging and conversing. And what we found is that so far, 100% of the teachers have found these lessons dynamics to be more interesting and engaging than the previous ones that they'd been teaching, which is great. It's a good insight, but I think it's a small step in trying to improve what we already have, which we can't unfortunately change, which I thought we would be able to with these book series, and like, hey, this is a new angle on curriculum. Let's focus on historical figures from around the world, hence the Our Story series, or positive habits and behaviors to live a happy, healthy life, hence the Secret Alien Diary series. But the curriculums are the curriculums, and they're very difficult to change from what I've learned. So what we are trying to do is work within the system and try to kind of create engagement and hopefully some more able-minded students to help shift the needle in society a little bit, because 1% have all the money and we're all going crazy at the bottom. So hopefully, I honestly truly believe that students, children that are the hope, the future, has always been the case. But I don't think enough is being done on the educational, institutional level to try and maximize that potential, and give them opportunities or the tools to be able to make a change. It's kind of like one of the teachers who's head of like 3 different schools in the Midlands of the UK told me she's just got schools full of electronic dummies. This was her title. I was referring them more to as zombies kind of walking off the edge of the cliff unknowingly. But it's true, these kids, it's very powerful, the screens that we have today. We're not, as humans, ready to really live with it. And it's kind of dictating a lot of things, and we're becoming very passive. And I'm a bit concerned with how technology, even though it's great, is being integrated at such a fast rate, with child-facing, especially in the education world. So if we are integrating technology, I'd rather it be to help the teachers of the schools become better at teaching or more efficient in operating, and let the kids still be kids as much as possible and develop those skills that are intrinsically unique to us.
Oh, absolutely. The 4 C's that you're talking about, being able to think critically, being able to be creative, collaborate with each other, communicate with each other. Those are the skills that in the different podcasts that I've been able to host, I've had chances to talk with incredible business leaders, and that's the thing that they tell me is that, they can train anybody to do the job that needs to get done, but they can't train people to think critically, to be a good team player, to communicate with each other, to be creative and to think outside the box. If we can teach our kids those skills, help those kids get those skills, those kids are going to be so much better served than being able to parrot back a bunch of facts and figures from, yesteryear.
I agree 100%. I mean, and also what we're finding is that the classrooms themselves are just more fun for everyone involved, because obviously the kids get to be more involved, so they're engaged, but then also the teachers themselves, most teachers went into teaching, from what I've been hearing, with the kind of romanticized idea of having a fun classroom and like being able to like have fun with the kids while teaching them something interesting and useful. And it seems like most teachers are, disheartened, and they're, overworked. Their schedules are crazy. They have just about enough time to do the tasks that are set for them. Aside from creating a fun, engaging lesson plan, that's just additional work. So it's easier for them to just follow what's been given to them and tick off the boxes. Because also the teachers aren't really, and schools aren't really graded on how they teach, or how engaged or how interested the kids are. They're graded on the results that their classes get, the efficiency with which they are able to like get a high return of the time that they spent with the kids. And the schools, if they're private or even if they're public, is about how efficient they are with the money, how profitable they might be. Like the actual impact on individual students' abilities, cross-functional outside of results, is non-existent really. It's not on the list of metrics that are important. So, and also one of the other interesting facts or side effects of this is we found that because these classrooms are more engaging and dynamic, behavioral issues in classes also reduce. There's a study in the UK, for every 30-minute class, there's about 7 minutes gets lost to behavioral problems on it. And I'm sure there's huge variations in that, but that's a good chunk of time. You're nearly losing, 30% of learning time to dealing with a disruptive student. But the kid is being disrupted because they're sat in a chair in a square room, expected to just sit quietly and listen. And the guy has the girl has lots of hormones and energy, and they need to kind of move around or be stimulated in some way. And having these lesson plans, it serves as either a tool for them to follow word for word, or just as inspiration as, oh, maybe I can teach this lesson in this way. We can split the class into groups of 3 or groups of 2, or have them create this thing. And ultimately, it's kind of less work for the teacher. There's less talking. They're just orchestrating a little bit. And, subconsciously, I think that developing those skills simultaneous to learning whatever they have to learn, and no matter how useful or useless it is, it's just what it is. Those skills will serve them with an AI future or whatever the next situation might be. Hopefully, we're trying to push that and try it out and see how schools can adopt it into their way of working.
Yeah. Well, I love it. A lot of people will say, well, this style of learning, that's the way it's always been done. And the reality is, no, it's a fairly, in the course of human history, sitting in a row in a classroom is a fairly recent development.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
You also were telling me before we started recording that you have a series called Mission Upcycle. That's a cool title. Tell us about that, please.
That's part of the Secret Alien Diary series, which is actually the most fun project that I get to work on, because it's following around a child that has 4 secret alien friends, and each of these secret alien friends have secret powers. And the job of the child is kind of explaining to these aliens how to operate in this world in a more healthy, positive way. And this book on Mission Upcycle is about explaining to these aliens that it's possible to not necessarily buy everything new. You can actually create whatever you need, most things, from things you already have. So it's encouraging the idea of recycling and making use of things we already we have. The amount of Amazon boxes that everybody seems to have is a bit insane. And those Amazon boxes themselves are a tool for creating fun scenarios and toys and tools. And it's a cool little journey following the children discovering what they can do with scraps around the house, and doing fun old school kind of things of having a toilet roll connected with string to another piece of toilet roll and talking through it. And that dynamic physical activity is something we believe in. It's in line with the offline learning approach as well. It's much more engaging than sitting behind an iPad and learning and doing something. This is getting off your seat and finding scraps and finding some tape and doing something cool. There's some cool little nuggets for parents as well. They create some movie scenes that adults will be familiar with all the scraps of cardboard that they've got. And yeah, it's great. My favorite character is Bob, the other aliens have more alien phonetic names, Click Clack and Zigzag, but Bob is great because he morphs into anything. So he's a fun little character.
That's cool. That is very cool. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast. I am not a visual artist by any means. I can play with Canva and come up with art for our episodes and whatnot. But in terms of like drawing something or sculpting something, but I did win an art award when I was in middle school. Just using scraps of wood, me and my friend, Harney Helene, put together a woman made out of scraps of wood, and it won. And I remember it, and that's almost 100 years ago.
Amazing. There you go. See, the scraps is the solution for everything. It's also, it's better for the environment. It's better for society. It's better for people to think in this term that, okay, let's use what we already have rather than let me see what's online that I can find that's going to fix this.
Yeah. That was one of the things we talked before we started recording. Fahad is actually speaking to us from Brazil right now, and I was telling him that I had toured El Salvador, and one of the things I saw everywhere in El Salvador were these beautiful hammocks that are made from those plastic bags that we used to get at the grocery stores, and that a lot of people still get. And they've come together. They're beautiful. They're comfortable. They're strong. And otherwise that would be floating around a street or filling up a landfill.
Exactly. No, we have all of these things. In terms of resources, we're living in abundance relative to history. But it doesn't seem like we understand that. We're kind of just taking it for granted and just, swiping our cards to the next tool. It's one of the things that I've learned because I'm obviously from the UK. I was born and raised in London, and coming to Brazil, South America, or where the climate is a bit warmer, I feel generally, you can operate with a lot less. You don't require as many things or clothes or, items. I kind of feel that urge to buy things when I land back in London Heathrow. It's this weird like energy in the air of just, I need to kind of buy something. But I think that's just because it's these like centers of these consumerist, places where it's marketing left, right, and center, and everyone's got all nice, new, shiny things. But it's not, I don't think, necessary. But it wasn't 100 years ago. Everyone just lived on, the 5-6 items of clothing they had in their wardrobe for the year, pretty much. Now all of a sudden, it's just everyone needs a couple of everything.
Right.
Which is, hopefully this Mission Upcycle thing unlocks a little thing in a child's brain to think, actually, I might not need to think about Amazon first. Maybe I can think about what I already have first.
Right.
And I think that's generally overall a good thing. We're buying less, making less, wasting less.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have a series, I think it's called Our Story, and there's a new book in Our Story.
Correct. Yeah, this was the original series that got me down this whole educational journey, where it came to be that there's tons of people in history across the world that have contributed to society in some way, shape, or form, or did something spectacular, or were the first in some respect. And they've all been left out of history books, or the history books in schools for some reason. And this next book is about a woman named Razia Sultana. She was the first Sultan of India, female Sultan of India. I think only as well, because, I mean, obviously, as you can imagine, female leaders were not seen as, it wasn't a normal thing back in that time or in that space. But what I'm learning, in fact, is that females were actually given a lot more freedom than people are led to believe in today's society, that those societies used to allow for. And she managed, her father became a sultan, and she had 4 half brothers that were, more eligible to go to the throne because they were male. But one of the half brothers who did overtake the throne wasn't very responsible with his role. So she stood up and kind of got everyone together, all the politicians, to support her taking over. And she did. And she reigned for only 4 years before she was overtaken. But in those 4 years, she was very much a leader in putting together things that were important for society, like schools, like art institutions, like promoting poetry and music, and then also health facilities. So she was really doing things for the people more so than previous rulers had done. And she's inspirational in the fact that she rode into battle on an elephant. She was pretty badass in that way. So there's all kinds of facets to this woman's life that we think is inspirational for any young girl today to lean from, and to understand that they can also do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it. Because this person did it back in that time, in those circumstances, at that level. So unlocking her history and her story was really fascinating. It goes really nicely with the rest of I think we have 3 other individuals that we've covered so far in the Our Story series, and there's 100 more to cover. We just don't have the time at the moment to get all of those books out there. But the reason why the series is called Our Story, because it's our collective story as humans, as people that have existed on this planet, how each continent or region has brought about one person that's instigated change or invented something, or been a scientist in some regard. The book that preceded Razia Sultana is a book about Shen Kuo. He's a man from the second Song dynasty in China, and he actually was the first discoverer of climate change. He just was analyzing fossilized bamboo, and no one really thinks that China was responsible for noticing climate change. It's a complete opposite narrative today. So it's quite insightful to learn about, how we've got to where we've got to and who did what. So it's quite cool to bring all these stories to light and get to see people's reactions to learning about these people.
Yeah. I think in talking to you and learning about the different projects, it seems like you have a real passion for helping kids become more in touch with themselves, to empower them, and also to encourage them to care for the gifts that they've been blessed with.
Yeah, it's hard in this day and age, I think, for adults as well, let alone children, to kind of take a step back and recognize where they're at and what we can do better for ourselves and for society. Everyone's kind of just tunnel vision in just survival mode, I think, which is fine, that we've always been survivors as a race. But I think we're in a more privileged position than we understand, compared to any other time of history.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of just lost on us because we're too busy just, paying the bills or, dealing with whatever problems that everyone has, that we kind of lose sight of, okay, hold on, we've got all of this stuff. How can we kind of reset a little bit instead of just continuing down the same path and potentially falling off a cliff unknowingly, unwittingly, and I don't know. It's kind of scary how much we're able to just go with the flow and not really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to do something about it, my small little way, and see, hopefully it sticks and people. I know that everyone believes inherently in the same kind of things that you and I believe in, regardless of background, religion, whatever. Like just as individual humans, I think we all think the same. It's just providing the right resources and tools to try and extract that out of people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying.
Well, I think you're doing a great job of it, and at the same time, learning how to be a great dad.
Yeah, that's the next challenge. I need to tap into you for that. You've got a lot of years of experience on that. I'm just months in.
Well,
So
it's a great journey. You're going to love it, and I'm here for you if you need me. So
thank you, Jed.
Let's remind everybody where to go to find out more about all the different activities you're up to.
Yeah, you just go to our website, youngtreeseducation.com. And if you're curious about these other tools, these lesson plan things that we're creating and testing out, you can just send us an email at hello@youngtreeseducation.com, and I can talk to you and we can have a one-on-one, see how we can work together and take it from there.
We've had a great time speaking to the driving force behind youngtreeseducation.com. Our guest has been Fahad Siddiqui. Hey, Fahad, thanks so much for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you, Jed, for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Reading with Your Kids. If you are an author with a fantastic children's book, we'd love to hear from you. Please visit readingwithyourkids.com and click on the Authors Click Here button up at the top of the page to learn how you can be a guest here in the show and tell thousands of Kidlit fans all over the world about your fantastic children's book. You can also find out about our Certified Great Read program and our very affordable promotion program. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to share it with your friends. Leave a 5-star review and subscribe. It really helps us grow. Speaking of 5-star reviews, our new sponsor, CozyEarth.com, has received thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews for their soft, cool, comfortable bedding. Check it out today. Go to CozyEarth.com, use the promo code READ, and you will receive 41% off your purchase. That's an amazing deal. I want to thank Cozy Earth for being a sponsor. We also want to thank our guest, Fahad Siddiqui. Please be sure to check out Mission Upcycle and please visit his youngtreeseducation.com site. We also want to thank Hannah van Campen. Please be sure to check out Believe. I want to thank my incredible team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Elle Glassman, Dante Greco. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.
It's a brand new day. Let your dreams fly high. Chase the clouds away. Put your worries down. Let the rhythm ignite. You can dance to the beat. accept. Try again, like a melody that never ends. If you fall, just stand and grin with each note. Let the magic begin. In this game of dreams, let's ride the high tide. Keep on moving forward with your friends by your side.
Jump up high like a wave in the sea. Spread your arms wide, wide, let your spirit run free. Even when you falter, don't hide away in fear. Every time you rise, the joy will bring you cheer.
So if you lose your balance, just laugh and sway. Find your groove, keep dancing till you find your way. Life's a vibrant canvas, paint it with your heart. Show the world your colors, it's a work of art. Try again, like a melody that never ends. If you fall, just stand and grin with each note. Let the magic begin. In this game of dreams, let's ride the high tide. Keep on moving forward with your friends by your side. And when the night falls, don't you forget, every star is shining, no need to fret.